Hi everyone, this is just a quick video taking you through some key questions for both reading and writing for functional skills. This will cover certain skills for things like functional skills level 1, level 2 and of course ESOL as well. So if you're a current student of functional skills or you're thinking about progressing onto functional skills or even GCSE English, then this is going to be perfect for you. Can I just remind everyone to please like and subscribe, it really does help us out when you do so. So we're going to do a quick quiz, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the different rounds that we're going to have. So we're going to have 3 rounds in total, and they're going to consist of 3 different areas. So the first one, round 1, is going to test your understanding of language techniques. If you're not too sure what we mean by this, don't worry too much. This is just designed to help get an understanding of where you're currently at, your strengths and the things you might need to work on in the future. Round 2, spot the mistakes. So these mistakes will be specifically regarding the spelling, grammar and punctuation from an extract. Number 3. These will be quickfire questions based on a key extract that we'll go through together. Round 1. In this round, what we're going to do is try and test your knowledge of key language techniques and methods. So these are ones that you're going to need to know for both any level of functional skills as well as going on to GCSE English as well. So in round 1, you will have 5 questions relating to key techniques within English, have hints and tips to help you recall each technique, try and complete each question before the video moves on, keep track of your score to add up your total at the end of the round. Now this is going to be very important, this final point, because if you're able to actually keep track of your score and the correct answers that you're able to identify, we can help understand your strengths within English and the things that you might need to work on. So even if you don't do particularly well on the quiz the first time round, it's still a really good idea to keep going back over it and doing it again. So the first question one, round 1. Use the hints to work out the deforest technique being described. So clue number 1. This technique uses numerical data. Number 2. This technique can be written using fractions, decimals or percentages. And number 3. This is often used to show the result of a study. So if you'd like to pause the video now and take your time and think about this in a bit more detail, please feel free to do so. And that goes with the rest of the questions we're going to look at. I'm now going to go ahead and reveal the correct answer for the first question. So you can see there in the top right hand corner, the correct answer for the technique that's being described is of course a statistic. So if you've got it right, mark it down, keep track of your actual score, and if you didn't get it right, maybe come back and review this another time as well. Question 2. So clue 1. This technique also is used as a form of punctuation. This technique makes the audience think about a specific point or topic. And this technique helps to engage the audience. So think over the different clues there. Which technique could it be referring to? Okay, I'm now going to go ahead and I'm going to reveal the correct answer. Of course, the correct answer there would be a rhetorical question. Question number 3. So clue number 1. This technique helps to reinforce a point. Clue number 2. This technique can use 3 words or phrases aimed towards one idea or common goal. And the final clue then. This technique works well in persuasive writing. So if you need more time, please feel free to pause the video. Now we're going to look at the correct answer. So you can see it there in the yellow box. The correct answer is a triplet or a group of 3. Question 4. Clue 1. This technique is used to keep an idea in the reader's mind. Clue 2. This is when something is said 2 or more times. And question 3. This is used to stress a key point or an idea. Okay, so we're going to go ahead now and look at the answer. And the correct answer there, you can see it in the yellow box, is repetition. Final question now then. For clue number 1. This technique aims to get a reaction from the reader. Clue number 2. This technique affects the audience's thoughts and feelings. And the final clue. This technique is effective in persuasive writing. And the correct answer is then emotive language. Okay, so a good idea now would be to add up your scores or to keep log of it, because we're now going to go ahead and move on to round 2. Round 2, spot the mistakes. So these mistakes specifically are going to be in spelling, grammar and punctuation. This is a really important area to keep revising because it is one of the things that people consistently get wrong or forget to kind of look back over when they're doing their writing assessment. So in this round, you will understand spelling, punctuation and grammar, identify whether spelling, punctuation and grammar may be improved, and revise some spelling rules to improve your writing. Look at the extract below and identify any spelling, punctuation and grammatical mistakes. So here we have an example text. I'm just going to read through it. Once I've finished reading through it, if you feel like you need to pause the video and go through it at your own time, please feel free to do so. Music these days is simply rubbish. Every time I turn on the radio, all I hear is awful, terrible noise that seems to attack my eardrums. How can young people listen to this? Back in my day, music was made with passion. It was an expression of their deepest emotions laid bare for everyone to hear. Now, however, music just seems to be about having the most offensive lyrics possible to just get shock value. So again, you need to think very carefully about how it is phrased. Any kind of words that might be spelled incorrectly or grammatically incorrect for the purpose that it's trying to get across. So again, if you want to pause it, please feel free to do so. We're now going to go through the answers on the other part of the video. Class feedback. Check your answers against the ones below. So on the left hand side then you can see the same text that we just read through. On the right hand side I'm going to go through the kind of things that you should have hopefully been able to pick up on in the response. So the first one I'd like to bring your attention to is the word here. So the sentence says, music these days is simply rubbish. Every time I turn on the radio, all I hear is awful, terrible noise. And the here that's been used isn't actually misspelt, but it is the wrong one to use in this kind of situation. The here that it should be is actually spelled H-E-A-R. So we call these homophones, words that sound the same but they're spelled different. And you can tell there by the here. The one that is actually referring to noise actually has the word ear in the word. So that's a good rule to remember in case you ever get those words mixed up. The here that's been used in the actual sentence more talks about a position that someone might be in. When did you get here? When did you arrive? That kind of sentence would be appropriate to use that kind of here. Number 2 is this sentence here. So how can young people listen to this? Now the technique that it needs to have here is a question mark because this is actually a rhetorical question. There's a few indicators that would allow you to understand that this needs to have a question mark there. The first one would be the fact that this sentence starts with the word how. So any sentence that starts with a word like how, when or why, any of the 5 W's, would generally require a question mark at the end of the sentence. Also, if you look at the actual extract, back is written with a capital letter, so therefore that would imply that there should be some form of punctuation needed as well. Number 3. So number 3 is actually a spelling mistake. So it's passion. You can see there on the actual example text, it's spelled P-A-S-I-O-N, and the correct spelling is P-A-S-S-I-O-N. And any of these words that do have double letters is often something that people tend to get mixed up. So it's really important that you revise and review those kind of spellings as well. Number 4. So it was expression of their deepest emotions. So you've got the word of instead of. Okay, so they sound very, very similar, but OFF is like turning a light switch on or off, and of means an actual connective word to link those ideas together. Okay, number 5 is there. Now this is a very kind of common mistake. There are 3 different types of there, and it's really important that you know the difference between each of them. if you get them mixed up, it can mean that the examiner will jump on it, because it is a common mistake that we hopefully will find most people have kind of got a good understanding of the different types by now. So when it's a possession, it needs to be THEIR. So therefore the there that's been used is more about a positional word, where something is. He's over there, we're going there later, or something like that. The next one then, number 6, is seems. Again, this one is a homophone as well. We have a seam of something, and SEEMS is what it should be. Okay, a seam means the edge of clothing, somewhere where something is bound together, usually with cotton or thread or something like that. And the final one, number 7, is offensive. Now this is a tricky word, because when you actually say the word offensive, it doesn't sound like it, but it's actually spelt with an O. So that's a very typical mistake a lot of people make, is that because it sounds like you're saying offensive, we often put an A to begin it, but of course it is with an O. So we've reached the end of this round now. If you want to add up your scores, please feel free to do so. We're now going to jump ahead and look at round 3. Round 3. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at an extract, and we're going to answer some quick fire questions to test your comprehension. Now this is really good to help develop and to improve your skills for reading, and of course it's other things like that that you're going to need if you're going to progress on to GCSE English as well. So for this round, you'll need to be able to use skimming and scanning skills. You'll be reading a non-fiction text, and you'll answer a series of questions to assess your understanding. Read the example below and attempt the questions that follow. Why does rap music have such a bad reputation? Just think about it for a moment. Rap stands for rhythm and poetry. How can anyone talk bad about that? Rap music has enabled a whole generation of young people to express themselves when they had no other outlet. Sure, some rappers often talk about the negative things, however, many use it to form relationships and to get to know each other better. When we look at one form of music and say, that's rubbish, that's worthless, we limit ourselves to only knowing one way of thinking and only experiencing one type of music. If I could leave you with one thought, it is this. Music is a gift. It helps bring people together and help us to better express the highs and the lows of our existence. Give music a try. All music. You might be surprised by what you find. Quickfire questions. Answer the questions to test your understanding. Number 1. Look at text A. What does RAP stand for? Number 2. Identify the discourse marker used by the writer to present a balanced argument. Number 3. Look at the following words. Which ones best describes the tone of the extract? So the words we're looking at here are angry, concerned, and sarcastic. So what you might want to do now is to pause the video, have a look at the previous part, and go through the extract and see if you can actually find what kind of tone is coming across by the writing. Number 4. Identify 2 positive things about rap music. And number 5, last one, has the response used advanced punctuation? Try and identify a quotation to support your answer. If you'd like to pause the video now, go through the questions in your own time, please feel free to do so. We're now going to jump ahead and we're going to go through the answers in the next part of the video. Class feedback. Check your answers against the ones below. So for question 1 then, it asked you what does RAP stand for? And of course it stands for rhythm and poetry, as it said it in the extract. Number 2. So number 2 was asking us what discourse marker had been used, and the discourse marker is however. If you're not too sure what we mean by this, this is often one of the techniques that's used in the De Forest techniques. So a discourse marker actually helps us to structure our writing, and that word however actually helps us to take it in a slightly different direction. Number 3. How does he feel about music or the topic that he's talking about in the extract? Well, he feels concerned. He feels that people don't really understand the genre, and he feels that because people don't understand the genre, that is actually going to have a negative impact. Number 4. Answers may include, but not limited to, has enabled a whole generation of young people to express themselves. You could also have to form relationships and to get to know each other. Number 5. The responses used a colon and a semicolon, so both of these would be examples of more advanced forms of punctuation. If we look at the example then, this was taken from the same extract that we just went through. If I could leave you with one thought, it is this: music is a gift. It helps bring people together and helps us to better express the highs and lows of our existence. Aim higher. Use the success criteria to attempt the question below. So what we're going to do now, if you want to try and build on your skills and actually try to improve your writing, we're going to use a question that is actually based on the extracts that we've just looked through. So the question would look something like this. So it says, music these days has a negative impact on young people. Write a blog post in which you explain your point of view. Now this is quite a typical one that you would get for either level 1 functional skills or level 2 functional skills. It's also important for your GCSE because you need to be able to have a bit of a debate. Now it might be that you don't think that music is negative, so the good thing to think about there is, can you weigh up the pros and the cons of that statement? When you have a go at writing your response, try and use the success criteria to actually help make sure that you're going to use the skills that are going to help you to be successful in your writing. So in your response you should explain your ideas clearly and concisely. Use a range of language techniques to make your writing engaging. Have one main idea per paragraph, and one of the most important ones, check your spelling, punctuation and grammar. As we've seen earlier on in the video, there are a lot of different things that impact our success within English, so you need to be able to bring all of those skills together in order to make your writing as successful as possible. Now that we've reached the end of the quiz, what I'd like you to do is try and add up your scores from each round to try and understand your strengths and your weaknesses, so you can use this to base your further learning on and try and understand the key areas that you need to practice. If it is something like language techniques that you need to spend more time on, which was obviously what we did in round 1, then we do have a lot of videos that are catered specifically towards that skill set. So please do have a look over the other videos within the channel and see if there's anything that can help you to bridge that gap. So for round 1, it was on language techniques and it was out of 5 questions, so you want to try and give yourself a mark out of 5. For round 2, this was the one where we had the passage and there was many spelling, grammatical and punctuation errors there. So there was actually 7 errors that I wanted you to identify. If you're able to identify anything other than that, then that's great, you can award yourself an extra mark, but there were 7 main ones that I wanted to focus on. Round 3 was our quickfire questions, and that should be marks out of 5. So the 5 questions that you were given there on the previous part of the video. So out of a total, you should be able to give yourself a score out of 17. If you didn't score that well, a good thing to do is to watch this video again, try and see which areas that you need to improve, and of course if you need help you can leave us a comment, subscribe, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can for some feedback and some help on some areas that you need to develop. If you do need any additional support, then new videos will be added every single week. Alternatively, you can leave us a comment below, and if you still aren't finding what you want on our channel, please do check out our partner channel Bookworm Teaching for more lessons and guidance on everything English. Thanks guys, and all the best with your work in the future.